Hello there. In this video we're going to show you how you can place two separate objects onto a ring, an Enneper curve and a letter M. It's actually a Harrington font. Okay, so if you start up Fluid Designer, first of all we need to go to the rings folder and we're going to select the all UK ring sizes, and we're just going to drag and drop that object onto the workspace. Now we could change the ring size if we wanted to, selecting one of the UK sizes down here, but I'm going to stick with the default ring size for this particular lesson. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Harrington font. We're going to add the letter M and place it in the middle of the ring. And we're also, first of all, going to add a parametric pattern, and we're going to use what's called an Enneper curve. So if I just scroll down here, I should be able to find it in a second. Enneper curve, yeah. So we're going to use this object here to put a pattern on the actual surface of the ring. So we're just going to show you how you can add two objects to the ring. We don't drag and drop this object onto the workspace. If we do that, the ring itself will disappear. We've always got to go to File and Append. And so what we're looking for first of all is to go to the Groups folder, and we're going to use a parametric pattern, and we're looking for an Enneper curve pattern, and we always select the object. So it's an Enneper curve pattern 001, and we append that from the library. Now the object's not selected at the moment. It's in it has the red outline, so we just need to click on it to get the yellow outline. Now this object is currently 1mm diameter round. I'm going to change that to 1 by 1 to give it a kind of flatter appearance. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scale it down. So if I just switch on the screencast keys, if I press the S key on the keyboard, and I'm going to scale it down to 0.4 size and press enter. And whenever you scale an object like this in Fluid Designer, always do Control A and apply the scale, and you'll notice that the thickness is reapplied to that object. Now the next thing I want to do is I need to rotate my object before I can put it on the surface of the ring. So I want to rotate it about the X axis. I basically want to just tilt it upwards. So we can press R on the keyboard, X on the keyboard, and I want to rotate it 90 degrees. So that's adjusted it to be the same angle as my ring. And if I just go to view and front view now, you'll see that my ring's not going to be wide enough for this object. So I need to change the size, sorry, of my ring. So I'll just highlight the ring. So at the moment it's 1mm by 5. I think if I increase that to 8mm, then my pattern will fit nicely on that ring. Okay, so I've just adjusted the size of my ring. So what I want to do now is I want to put more than one copy of this pattern on my ring, and we can add in extra copies by using a modifier, and the modifier that we need to apply is called an array modifier. And as you can see, that will give me initially a count of 2, and I could go to 3 and 4, etc. But 2 is going to be plenty. And I'm just going to adjust the relative offset, just narrow it down a little bit. Probably gone a bit too far perhaps there, so I'll put the relative offset like that at 0.7. Okay, so we've got an array modifier which gives us a second object there. We now need to wrap it around this ring. Well, the ring itself is this curve, Enneper pattern curve. Sorry, the default ring is the ring. The Enneper curve is obviously this pattern that we've just added to the ring. So we want to wrap the Enneper curve pattern around the default ring size. And we do that by adding a modifier, and it's a curve modifier. We want to curve this pattern. and the object that we want to curve it around is the default ring size. Remember, we haven't changed the ring size in this particular lesson. So we just need to scroll down and look for the default ring size H+. So that's the ring object at the moment, and so when we click on that, you'll see that our Enneper curve pattern is attached to the ring, but at the moment it's clearly on the inside of the ring. So the way to resolve that is if we go to View and Top, and we need to go into Edit mode now, and in Fluid Designer we go into Edit mode by pressing the Tab key on the keyboard. And normally you would want to align the bottom of this object with the x-axis, but not in this case. If we align it with the x-axis, it will probably stick out on the inside. So we want to go a bit above the x-axis. So let's move it above the x-axis there. That should put it on the outside of this object, hopefully. We might still need to adjust it. No, that's okay. So that's put it on the outside of the object. If we just go to View and Top again, and let's just measure that. So if we use the interactive ruler here, this should be something like 0.5 millimeter. Yeah, so that's just over 0.5 millimeter thickness. So that should be okay. We don't want to go any smaller than 0.5 millimeters, otherwise we won't see this pattern very well. Now the other thing that we want to do is we want to put this pattern on the other side of the ring at the same time, and we can do that by using another modifier called a mirror modifier. So if I go to Add Modifier and select Mirror Modifier, you'll see that the pattern appears on the other side here. Now if it didn't appear on the other side, what you might need to do is to tick one of these boxes here. Okay, now that's obviously not where we want to put it, up at the top. Ticking Y doesn't do anything, but if you tick X, which it was in fact the default one, it puts it on the other side of the ring there. Now this isn't quite as I want it. I'm going to put the letter M at the top here, so I am going to adjust this at some point and bring the pattern closer to the top. But I want to put my letter M on the ring first of all. So let's just go to View and Top. And so we're going to use a Harrington font M. So remember, we've always got to append these additional objects. So if we go to File and Append, and if we just go up the menu system until we get to the Groups folder, and then we can look for the pattern, which is the alphabet Harrington font. And I say I'm going to use the letter M here, and it's always the object that we've got to append. So it's Harrington font M object, and we append that from the library. And of course that puts it in the center of the screen there for us. Now what am I going to do to this? Well, first of all I want to scale it down, so I'm going to do S on the keyboard for scale, and I'm going to do 0.5. And remember, again, you must always apply the scale, so do Control A and apply the scale. Now in the same way that I had to rotate this pattern around the x-axis 90 degrees, I'm going to have to do the same thing with my letter M. So it's rotate, R for rotate, X for the x-axis and 90 degrees. And if I look at it from the front, my M isn't too big for this ring now, so that should be okay. Now I do know that when I attach this M with the curve, what will always happen is it will be back to front. So what we want to do here is we do need to rotate this again, and this time we're going to rotate it about the Z-axis, and I'll do it instead of using the keyboard. I'll go to the show the main information icon over here, and holding down the left mouse button, I'm just rotating it about the Z-axis, and I actually want to go up to 180. And as I say, I need to do that because I know that the curve modifier will flip this round and the M will be the wrong direction. It doesn't make any difference with the pattern that we've used here, the Enneper curve pattern, because back to front is the same, but it does with our letter M. So you'll see when we put the M around the curve, it will appear the right way round. As we're looking at it at the moment, it's the wrong way round. So we want to apply a curve modifier now, so we need the modifiers icon here, we're going to add a modifier, a curve modifier. And remember, it's our default ring size UKH plus that we're going to need as the object, in the same way that we did for the Enneper curve. So we can just scroll down until we find that. And there it is. And as you can see, as the same thing happened with the Enneper curve, our object is on the inside of the ring at the moment. So if we just go to view and top, we need to adjust this. We need to push it out a bit. So if we press the tab key on the keyboard to go into edit mode, and none of these control points are selected at the moment, so I need to press A on the keyboard to select all the control points before I adjust it. Now I'm not quite sure which direction, usually upwards, so I'll move it up 1. Let me move it up 2 and just see where it ends up. Okay, that's a little bit too far. I've gone a bit too far off the ring there, so I need to bring it back a bit. So view it from the top again. So if I bring it down 1, now it's just on the inside, so I need to be in between those two. Now I could click here and just move it up slowly. So I've moved it up to 1.5 millimeters. Now I know that that's not the Z dimension. Yeah, the green is actually the y-axis, but in this case, because we rotated the object, these are not in kilter anymore. An alternative way of doing that was I could have switched the snap off and dragged it. Okay, but I'm going to leave it at 1.5 millimeters. I need the for millimeters. I'm going to leave it like that at 1.5 millimeters. So if I press the tab key now, that fits okay. But now I've got to position this now. So I've got my letter M there, but I need to position it properly on my ring. So just view it from the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the ring around, the M around to the top of the ring here, and then I'm going to squash these two Enneper curves up towards the top. So again, we've got to go into edit mode, and I think we're going to have to move the object over to the right in order to bring it up to the top. And we'll just press you can see that's brought it up closer to the top. I still need to go further distance across. I'm still not quite in the right place. I'm getting there. That's not too bad. I'll move it a little bit more. Now obviously you can play around with this until you get it really accurate. Yeah, that's okay. That's just touching that line there and touching that grid line there, so that's centered reasonably well. And I now need to do the same thing with the Enneper curve. I need to adjust it, so moving it up towards the top. So again, if I just move that across, now it looks a bit weird here because we're moving two sides of the Enneper curve, but we'll have a look. Now it's not moved it quite far enough. Still go a little bit further. Yeah, that's not too bad. So it's almost touching the M there on both sides. So that's the effect that I'm looking for. So you do need to do that in edit mode. Now one final thing that I could do here is if I hit the ring itself and go into edit mode, and if I just select the control point at the very top there, just the top control point, if I change the radius here, you'll notice it's thickening up the ring, and it's also changing my M and my pattern as well. And I'm going to set it at 1.5 here. I think if you go back and look at the screenshot at the beginning of this video, I did actually set it at 2, which gives it a much bigger thickness. But notice what's happening to the pattern. The pattern is widening here compared with the bottom, because that's the effect of proportional editing from the control point, and the M is thickening up as well. So once you're happy with that, you can press the tab key to come out of edit mode, and if I just view it from the top, if I just check the size of this, yeah, that's actually only a couple of millimeters, so it's not as drastic as it perhaps looks. So escape key to cancel the ruler. Okay, so there's my finished ring. Now before you join these objects together, you will need to change them all into meshes. Otherwise things will go pretty weird on you. So if you select the letter M first of all, go to Tools, Object Tools and convert it to a mesh. Select the pattern, the Enneper curve pattern, Tools, Object Tools, convert it to a mesh. Select the ring, Tools, Object Tools and convert it to a mesh. And then if you highlight the M and highlight the pattern, you can join those two objects together. And then if you hold down the Shift key and highlight the ring as well, you can join all three objects together. And that should be, I'm not sure what's happening there. So that should be our finished ring now. So that's a ring with an Enneper curve on it and the letter M wrapped around it. So remember now, rather than saving it, never save in Fluid Designer, always go to File and Export. And I like to use the Wavefront object format as my printable file format. And I can save that to the desktop. So it's an Enneper curve with a letter M and it's a ring.